Welcome to Whatcha Makin, a podcast about sharing ideas, discussing the business of making, and connecting with the maker community. Your hosts are Alex Adams, an engineer turned furniture maker of Type A Furniture, and an alien pretending to be a DIY craftsman, Alex Duffey of Duffey Woodcraft. This is Whatcha Makin.
Hello, makers, and welcome to Whatcha Makin, a podcast where we talk about our current projects, spotlight makers throughout the community, and remind you that if you hear a goat sneeze, it's because it's in danger. Goats use the sneeze mechanism to sound the alarm to each other, whether it's real or imagined danger. In this week's discussion, we're going to talk about CNC 101 and have a special guest, but more about them in a moment. I'm Alex Duffey. You can find me on Instagram and on YouTube at Duffey Woodcraft and as an instructor over at CNC with me.
And I am Alex at Type A Furniture. I'm here to remind you that the average human head is 8 pounds. And you can find us at patreon.com/whatchamakinshow. Yeah.
And our patrons, by the way, if you do join, you're going to get a Whatcha Makin sticker. And if you get a VIP or I don't know, I don't remember the things that we give them, right? We give them a sticker. What do they get if they get a VIP? They get a hat, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that's that level. I think we've got 3 levels on there.
Yeah. So check it out. Patreon.com/whatchamakin. You'll get tons of gifts and excited things. Plus, we're going to be having our first Patreon Maker meetup in October. The date is TBD, but it is coming up, so mark your calendar. It's probably going to be mid-October, so make sure you mark your calendar. But if you're watching on YouTube, you've noticed that we have a third guest here on our podcast. This is Jay from Goat Haunt Woodworks. And Jay.
Who are you?
Oh, that's why you had the goat fact.
That's why I had the goat fact.
I was surprised.
Also, real quick, I'm going to cut him off. We did get a new patron, Chris Lemereau. We got him yesterday, I think.
Hey, Chris, welcome
Sorry
to the
cut
family.
You off, Jay. That's what I do.
No worries, man.
That and have phenomenal hair, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
So good. All right, Jay. Well, who are you, man?
Sure. My name's Jay Levy. I am recently retired from the Army. I did like 29 years. And my last couple years got into woodworking as a way to heal from, a lot of trauma from war, and just found that working with wood in my garage was a great outlet after a day of stress. And for the first few years, we did a bunch of craft shows and markets and got really into selling cutting boards and kitchen stuff, kind of like a lot of woodworkers get into. And then that turned into just meeting a ton of people. Mostly through Instagram and in person, and just found this whole community of woodworkers and loved it. And had just been going just been here learning about furniture and CNC and stuff like that in my garage, and just trying to be a good, get better every day in the shop pretty much. And that's awesome. About it. Just married, got a couple dogs, and what you see behind me is where I spend most of my time when I'm not on the internet.
Well, when you're not on the internet, what is the main thing you focus on when you're making? You said you started in craft fairs and that, but today, what do you make the most?
Sure, I'd say for the last 6 months, we've really shifted to making gifts for friends that mean a lot to us. So I've been making a lot of plaques and commemorative items for people. And recently, the last 3 months, I got into making boxes. So I'm really trying to get into hand tool woodworking and then integrate the CNC into it for the lids and stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
So if someone is friends with you and they haven't gotten a box, that means they don't mean anything to you, is what I'm hearing.
Definitely. They are horrible people, and I only keep them around, just for what we for
and
the
they're
tools.
bad, and they should feel bad.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, and for those who don't know Jay, I know Jay through my partnership with NextWave. Jay is, you said, new to CNC this year, and he is part of the NextWave team. Yeah, go NextWave.
Definitely. This has been phenomenal. There was 2 people, you and Brian Bricker, who were just world class in helping me from turning on the CNC to running my first You were probably on the other end of the FaceTime as I was running my first project, and huge source of information. Just how selfless you've been has been amazing, and truly appreciate it, Alex. Truly do.
Well, you're welcome.
You're
And I'm not that, Alex. No, you're welcome. And I'm just glad that you're part of the team. You know, that's the whole point. The nice thing about, I know there are other manufacturers out there and other, content creator teams. What I like about the Next Wave team is we have our internal chat. We can ask each other questions. We're all there to help support each other. Whether you're first getting started or a long-time maker. So I do. That's why I love our team. Is we all are there for each other.
Agreed. And there's some pretty technical questions that get answered in that chat, and it's unbelievable. Like, and it's great to see new people join the chat who become Next Wave partners, and to see their initial level of concern and stress, and then watch them be successful is amazing.
Well, I mean, you're one of those because when you joined and not, trying to figure out how to put the bit in and everything, to you're making beautiful 3D carves now and everything. So it's great.
I too struggle with putting the bit in.
That's what she said.
What you doing?
So moving on, we're going to do our Whatcha Makin segment. So I'll kick it off this week. This week has been another week of getting ready for the holiday production team or markets for me, which will be, the next 9 weeks until my first holiday market. CNC wise, I have been cranking out my Yahtzee game boxes. I've cut blanks for 120 of them that I'm going to make. And I estimate I can do about 10 to 12 boxes a day. So I'm going to give myself 10 days. So hopefully mid this week or end of this week, I'll have all 120 cut out. Because they take about 30 minutes a piece on the CNC, and then I've got time, to swap them out and everything. So, and then we'll talk about what that noise is here, and for those who are listening in just a sec,
you can
for
hear
what
that?
Alex is making. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought since it was away from the mic that you couldn't hear it.
No, it sounds like we're in the same room with you.
Man, the magic of computers. Am I right?
Yeah. Anyways, so I've also been doing a ton while the CNC's running. I've been doing a ton on the laser, making a ton of Christmas ornaments and magnets with a whole bunch of different holiday designs. And then this week I created a new product. My partner at the Sea Gypsy down at the beach, the retail partner I work with, has been asking for shot glasses for a while. And I'm like, well, I don't have a rotary machine, so I really can't do that. And I don't really want to spend $1,000 on a rotary right now, and so on. Because my dumb butt forgot they made square shot glasses. So I was at a store earlier this week,
and I skipping kindergarten.
Seriously, I was at a store earlier this week, and I saw a square shot glass, and I'm like, oh, I could do that on the laser. So I found a supplier that I ordered. I can order 40 at a time for 50 cents a piece. And then I lasered so I ended up ordering 80. And then I lasered 6 different designs throughout the 80 of them. And I drove them down this morning and handed them off to her. So, and we're going to sell them for $15 a piece. So it's a good markup. Just another example of how quickly you can make something.
Are you doing a bundle of 4 pricing on that or anything?
No.
Are you doing a bundle with coasters?
No, I should. And I'll mention that to her. I like to run all my pricing by her because it's her store, and I want her to kind of feel like she has ownership also in this partnership of what I'm pricing things at, but also because she gets the direct feedback from customers. So I've told her anytime she wants to do a bundle, anytime she wants to do a sale, I'm totally open for it and completely open for it. So she doesn't need to run it by me first. I just told her to let me know at the end of the month when I get my thing what was on sale and what was not. So, and she hasn't taken me up on it, and I keep reminding her about that.
And then you can bundle whiskey smokers in on top of that as well for extra notes for her.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to keep on saying more and more stuff. Like, bundle in, make your own whiskey too. Go ahead and bundle that. make some at home like cola as a mixer with the whiskey as well. Bundle that.
I mean, might as well. I'd only be breaking a few laws.
They're only breaking laws if you get caught.
Yeah. Yeah, I push it enough, I think, with speeding. I don't necessarily want to do much more. Anyway, so that's what I've been making this week. Jay, what have you been making?
Sure. So I've been working on like a catch-all tray for my buddy who, like for his dresser, like he wants to be able to store like his wallet, his keys, his iPad. So this thing's gonna be huge. And then I have to do my box for the week because I'm doing that 52 boxes in 52 weeks. So I got that drying on there. And then just making a lot of jigs, honestly, for the shop, like shooting boards and stuff. So nothing crazy, man. Just taking it slow and having a good time.
Well, and for those who don't know Jay or don't follow Jay, you started how many weeks ago? 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, like I think I'm on week 4 right now.
So yeah, about 4 weeks ago, he started going through the book by, I've got the name, Matt Kinney. It is the 52 weeks or 52 boxes in 52 weeks. So it is a box you make a week. He's showing on the screen the book right now. And there are actually 2 books. You've got, that's the first book. And then you want to show the second one too. It's Build Better Boxes in 52 Weeks, which is the second one. And that's actually the book I have. I don't have the first one, which I thought that was the first one. So I messed up.
Are humidors included in those boxes?
I would have to look. I've honestly, like, I don't look ahead in the book because, like, I'm afraid of what's coming. And I kind of, like, on Monday, I'm like, oh, I got to build something to, like, make this lid and stuff. But the way the guy writes his books, they're just very easy to follow. And honestly, you can just use scraps from your shop.
Also, and
is there a humidor in that box book that Alex has? He can make that and then bundle that with the whiskey glasses and all the other stuff that he should be bundling.
There you go. And actually,
I'm like slow from Progressive. We're just going to bundle everything.
Bundle it all.
And you could like turn some
Actually, I was on Temu a little bit ago and I saw the humidor inserts that you can buy. So I should actually look at that.
Is it like a felt thing? Because this is different than because it's like a Spanish cedar or whatever that they normally line it with, right?
Yep. It's just, a regular cedar, and then there's a valve that lets so much air in and out.
So it's like a one-way valve?
It's a one-way valve because you need to keep the humidity in, but you do need to put some fresh air in. So there's these valves that you can get with it. That's actually a great idea. You just came up with a new product idea for me. Making notes.
I am full of them.
Also, maybe that means I get to have a cigar again. I used to smoke cigars.
I was going to bring one for the show.
Oh, there you go. Not sponsored. Well, I do. So going back to the boxes, I do have to say the 4 that you've made so far are really beautiful. Like you've done some great work with them. Do you feel like you're learning and growing with it?
Definitely. I'm just learning how to like make things that are not square, and then just like shaving off tiny pieces, and it's just fun. I think the long term is I want to get like how Alex does and makes furniture. Like I think this is a good way to like start to do like tiny drawers and stuff. But you know how it is. You get online and there's just so much information. So I'm just focusing on the book 1 week at a time.
Well, and you have to be perfect at it the first time, every time when you try something new, right?
No.
That's how it has to be. That's how my brain works.
According to social media, that's how it has to be.
Exactly. And if you don't have 20 years of experience in it, then you should just quit.
Alex, you make furniture?
Me?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Allegedly. Yeah, that's what I have been working on.
I thought you just moved slabs around.
Mostly. It's the appearance of doing stuff, like George Costanza, where it's like you just like look aggravated all the time just to make it look like you're working. Mainly to make sure that my wife feels like I'm doing a lot of work. Don't tell her I said that.
Well.
Oh, and Jay, my wife's name is also Alex, just to throw that in there, just so you're aware.
It's easy.
I'm not joking on that one.
I will never forget any of your names.
Easy peasy. So what have you been pretending to make this week, Alex?
Okay, so all the stuff that I've got going on, I flattened 4 walnut crosscuts. They were about 20 to 24 inches in diameter. I've got 2 side tables and then a couple of charcuterie boards that I am also making. So, like, and the reason why my hair looks like an unkempt Superman, because I've kind of got a little bit of a swish going on right there.
You look like the new Superman if it was blonde and not brown. But
So like an Aryan Superman.
His No, that we did not just go there. Anyways, but you do look like the image of the Clark Kent in the new Superman, just because his hair was bonkers. Anyway,
Exactly. Yeah, and so I had my setup of what I was going to be doing for the week, because I was going to mainly be working on the side tables initially, because some of those, so my jointer and planer combo, like, it's easy for me to process stuff that's up to 12 inches wide. But a couple of these are wider than that, so I have to flatten those on my router sled. And so I flattened some of those initially to kind of get those going, and the plan was, while I got stuff, like, glued up, and while I was, like, waiting for stuff to dry as I was filling any cracks or voids, was to then hop on the router sled and work on the those walnut cookies. But what happened was, I had noticed that, like, we were going to have, like, several days of, like, continuous rain, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to work, because my router sled is outside in the driveway, and it's not covered. I have like a car canopy, carport kind of thing that I'm planning to set up behind my garage where the router sled will go, where it'll actually be covered, but naturally that's not put up yet. So I had to bust my ass until about 3 a.m. last night getting my crosscuts finished. You know, I'm a great neighbor. So I did that and got those all flattened so that those were good to go, and now I'm coming back to the side tables. And as you may have heard a couple of the noises in the background, I just poured some epoxy on one of those charcuterie boards to fill in some of those cracks and voids, because one of them has a big old knot in the middle, and it's got some pretty wide cracks, and I took, like, one of the chunks of that knot out as I was flattening that. So let me just hold for a second. Let me pop some bubbles. Okay, so I popped some bubbles there. So yeah, and I just fill it in with black, so I just throw in some India ink with the epoxy. And since I was also kind of running up against time a little bit, because I had to do all of that router sled stuff with the crosscut cookies, I was like, oh crap, now a deep pour epoxy isn't going to work, where it, you know, has some more time to seep through and everything. So I'm just using, like, a regular tabletop epoxy, because most of the cracks that I'm filling are only like 1/8 of an inch wide. There's that one chunk that I, like, took out, that there's, like, a little bit of an open spot, so I think it should be fine. So I think I'll be all right. So that'll take a little bit less time for that to cure than a deep pour. So everything should be ready by the time that I want it. So I've been sketching out the pieces that I need out of those slabs that I flattened for the side tables, because most of it is going to be live edge on those. So one of them, essentially the shape is going to be, they're about 20 inches long and about 15-ish inches wide. So 3 sides are squared off, and then there's one side with a live edge that's relatively straight. And so for one of them, it's going to be one slab on top, one slab on bottom, and then just a rectangular piece in between, making it look kind of like an I-beam kind of shape if you're looking at it from the front. And so all of those pieces are crotch. So those are the... it's triple crotch, because the top has crotch, the bottom has a little bit of crotch, and then the middle also has crotch. So, unfortunately, those slabs, like, 2 of the 3 of them started off as like 9/4, but I had to all get them down to like the same thickness, so it proportionally looked good. So now they're down to like 1 3/8. So I had a lot of sawdust came off of that. Yeah, so, and part of it too was that, especially with these crotch pieces, there's a good amount of warping too. So I did take off a lot of material, but there was a little bit of warping on those, so it wasn't too terrible, but it still made me cry thinking of all of the sawdust that I took out of that, because we could have probably just gone with some maybe slimmer cuts initially, but that's what happens when people don't spec out what they want ahead of time when you're milling stuff, because Jay's probably not aware of this. So this was a log that I actually milled up that was like a sentimental family tree, but they didn't know what they wanted before we milled it, and that makes it difficult to know what size cuts that you want to make and everything. So we just kind of like guessed on what they would probably need and just trying to saw it for good figure. And so probably 2/3 of the cuts ended up being like 9/4 thickness, and then there's a few of them there that were maybe a little bit less, so that we like missed a couple of like, you know, adjusting so you hit like the pith or whatever, and adjusting for other things in the logs that we were trying to avoid. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier to build stuff if you can spec out the cuts ahead of time, if you're coming from like a very limited batch of things, because otherwise it's easy if you're just going to the sawmill to get something that's already made. It's like, oh yeah, 8/4 over there, 6/4 over there, start with this and that, and you're good to go. And Bob's your uncle. So
what type of router sled are you using to do such large pieces?
True Track is the one that I have. So I have the setup that is like, they have 55-inch long rails, and I have 3 of those lengthwise, so I can flatten something that is up to 12 feet long. And then for the cross beam, I have the extension on that one, and I have the threaded rod, so I can move the router back and forth as long as or to a certain distance. And that extension kit was like, I think that makes it so I can flatten something that's up to 6 foot wide. Normally I'm not doing stuff that large, but like if I have like a really big long slab, I can flatten it, something that's for like a bench or whatever. But normally what I'll do is I'll put multiple pieces on there, because as you go back and forth, when I use that threaded rod to do a few manual turns to have it go forward or back, you know, you just make it lengthwise, everything lined up, so each time that you do a few turns, you just go through all of your slabs and then do a few turns and then you go back. So if you have them all, like, instead of like really far, I don't want to say depth-wise, if that's the right term, I don't put them out that way, because that's more like turning that I have to do of the threaded rod. So if I put it like lengthwise from like left to right longer, I can get more out of each pass, essentially. So that's what I did with the cross cuts, is I started with the thicker ones on the right side and then the thinner ones on the left side, so that as I made a pass, I didn't have to go all the way to the one to the end to get to it, because it was shorter than those, so I only had to like do the first one initially. So it's like a sliding, like, you know, back when they used to like have the little like bars for cellular stuff, you know, when coverage was like,
yes,
signal was a big deal.
They still do.
But not the like, you still have it on your phone a little bit, but it's kind of moot now. But yeah, like stacking them that way so that when you go back and forth, you don't have to go like the full like 8 feet or whatever each time, because, you know, you've got 2 on each end or whatever.
I love
so
it.
I try
Alex,
and save myself some time.
I love how you say that's moot. That is definitely somebody who lives in the Midwest where it's flat and you have 5G everywhere, where somebody who lives in the mountains, you're lucky to go around the corner and still have signal. So
no, yeah, that's true. But I mean, everyone has Verizon around here, so I mean, our big problem is when we have Husker football game days and you have an influx of 90,000 people, and your cell coverage doesn't matter because the network is overloaded by how many people came into the city. So, like, yeah, just Nebraska things.
No thanks. We're going to get you in the CNC world yet, because, you know, if you just had a 5x10 Avid or Phantom CNC, you could just flatten those slabs and let it do the work for you, man.
Let me tell you how many times I thought about how it would be nice to just be running that while I would be doing something else. That would have been very nice, but... Well, the other thing, though, is that some of these slabs were, like, 8 inches tall, so I jerry-rigged my router sled rails up higher to adjust for that. So I don't know what kind of depth you guys get out of the CNCs.
And we'll talk a little bit about that. Like, Jay and I have the next wave machines we have are considered hobby level, so you're basically a 4-inch depth at max. But
from the base.
Yeah, but if you talk about yes, from the spoil board, if you're looking at like an Avid or a Phantom, some of those larger 5x10s, you're talking 8 to 12 inches as far as depth. It really just depends also on the bit that you're using and the spindle you're using as well, with what clearance you have. But we'll talk about that in our main discussion. But first.
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
Did you break anything besides all your router bits and, you know, while you're doing your sled?
Let me tell you about all of the router sled stuff and shenanigans that I went through. So on top of doing this, you know, when it's super dark out in the middle of the night, so I told you that I had to prop these suckers up, the rails, so that I could get the depth of cut that I needed for these cross cuts. So I propped them up, and then because there's only so much travel on the bit, I had to change how much I had shimmed those. I don't think shimming is the right word, because we're talking about like shimming at like 8 inches. So it's quite a distance. So I went.
That's not shimming anymore. That's like using a jack.
Yes, jacking my router sled at 2 a.m.
Do you live in a thick, like a lot of neighbors? Do you have a lot of neighbors close to you?
Oh yeah, very very close.
Yeah, are you in like a normal subdivision where it's like 20 feet between the houses?
Yeah, it's regular. Yeah, it's just like a regular city. So
your neighbors
all my neighbors
hate you.
Yeah, so are you making them gifts and like dropping stuff off?
Oh hell no. So I've got
just surprise dining room table on their front. Here you go. Sorry.
Well, one of my neighbors I actually am making a dining table for, but they paid for that one. So because I don't do free stuff like that.
Discount.
Yeah, so that's the neighbors that's across, and then like one of the catty corner neighbors, they have like a barbecue pit that they leave in the street all the time because, you know, they've got to keep their camper in their driveway and their however many cars or whatever. So they already do that, and then my other neighbors are like always smoking on the back porch. Like there's times where I'll randomly doing stuff at like 1 a.m. and they're like on the back porch smoking, and it's like, okay.
Southern Midwest.
There's enough mutual assured destruction there of like,
Sure.
All right, if you're gonna pull something on me, I can pull stuff on you and be like, yeah, let's call up that city and get that thing out of the street that's been sitting there for 12 months.
No, 2 a.m. is don't mess with people's sleep, man. That's when your neighbors bring out the shotguns.
Don't threaten me with a good time. I could tell you another story about when I was threatened with a shotgun, but I don't think we have enough time.
Yeah.
But
Let's get back to the router sled.
That was when I was working in a cornfield and there was other stuff. Long story short is people thought I was stealing copper, but I wasn't. I was working. Anyway, so back to the router sled stuff. So I made my first set of passes to get like the full travel of the bit, and the surfacing bit that I have, it's from, I always forget how to pronounce it, Speetool, and it's like 3.5 inches in diameter, and it has 5 carbide inserts, and they're all rotated about 45 degrees, and then each tip is chamfered off and is like, I don't know, maybe like 1/8 of an inch wide, something like that. Because it's nicer that way when you're making passes to have that angle as you're going back and forth to like support the material so you don't get as much tear out. So when I lowered it down for the next level, my rails were riding on the top of the cookie. And I've done it before where I've kind of like, I've pushed the router over that, and as it's kind of riding it, it can still go through and make those passes. But this one was just a smidge higher, so I was basically freehanding a 3.5 horsepower router with a 3.5 inch diameter flattening bit on like uneven terrain, and I don't know how many times I like pulled too much current on that and it stopped on me. It probably happened like every 30 seconds.
This podcast is sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah. So, and there was one point there where I thought and actually that was one of the things that I think I actually killed the outlet in the garage at one point that was powering this, because I had to like replug in my dehumidifier in here earlier onto a different circuit. So I thought maybe I just burned out a breaker or something like that, because I tried to like flip it in the garage, and it's got like the GFIC on that outlet as well, but I've got a couple of outlets that don't work, so I'm guessing I probably burned out the individual breaker on that one. So I'll have to fix that.
Jay's nodding. It looks like you have had experience with this.
Yeah.
There's two things
So
I never
anyway,
messed.
so I've overcurrented that thing so many times, and after a while, I was getting just straight sawdust, and I could not get very much on each pass as well, so I knew that my blades were getting dull, and I was like, if I start messing around with the bit, I'm probably gonna do something wrong when I try to put these inserts back in after I turn them, because I actually have an Amana flattening bit where I didn't tighten one of the carbide inserts in tight enough, and it came loose, and it like cracked the carbide insert and like put a big old chunk out of the piece of wood that I was flattening. So I've got a little bit of a little scared of rotating the carbide inserts, because I know that they need to be seated properly and torqued down properly. So I probably rode that set of carbide inserts a lot longer than I should have, because it was struggling. So I eventually got through all of that and got that one finished. So that was the one thing that I was breaking. And then after putting a lot of the stuff on the router sled, I was going to run it all through the drum sander to kind of like even out a few things. And one of the problems that I ran into is that the router sled that I have, it's built on a frame that's like 2x6s, but it's outdoors, so you're going to get a little bit of variance as time goes on, and so it's not going to be dead flat, especially for something that large. Like, because my focus was, I can handle large stuff, but there's going to be a little bit of more tolerance play in the pieces, and so I think there was just enough spring in those boards that I was getting, as it was going through the drum sander, so it burned on me once, and then it like destroyed part of the sandpaper, so I had to put a new piece of sandpaper on the roll for the first time. And I thought it was 120 grit originally that came with it, but it was 80 grit, so I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense of what I was seeing on the drum sander from other stuff. So I put 180 grit, and I burned the living crap out of one of my pieces. Like, we're talking like straight black, like big chunk on this thing. Let me pull a picture that I'll just show you on the screen super fast of what that looked like. Oh wait, did I? No, yep.
I bet it smelled great.
It smelled wonderful. Look at that.
Getting closer.
Yep. Closer. Sorry, the light like blurs it out. But like, yeah, we're talking like a 6-inch chunk that's just like charred.
It'll sand right out.
Yeah, I'll eventually sand that out, because I'll just use the Rotex on it and sand it, and it should be fine, because generally speaking, when I'm working with the Rotex, I throw on a hard pad, and I can keep flatness pretty good with that thing as I'm sanding. And especially for the, I have the edge guide for the 5-inch random orbit sander that is really nice for keeping those edges nice and flat. So that created a little bit more work for me on some of those pieces, because those are for like the side table. So I thought about putting some of those cross cuts through the drum sander, but I was like, that's not going to work anymore. So, and because for this one, the customer, they just wanted the cross cuts flattened. So I'm like, well, they didn't actually ask for it to be sanded, so we'll just keep it off straight on the router sled and just call it fine. Because the deal that we struck there was, I'll flatten these cross cuts, and then I keep the rest of the lumber that was from the tree that isn't used for those projects. So I earned those boards with all of those cross cuts that I flattened. They were a big pain in the butt.
Nice.
Let's see, what else did I break? There was one other thing. The other fun thing with all of the highly figured wood, I'm sure you guys have run into this, is when your blade gets pinched when you're trying to cut a rough sawn piece. Because normally the track saw, what I'll do is I will do a couple of passes with that, where I'll go like, the first cut will be maybe about halfway, and then the second cut will be the full depth. So I made my first cut just fine, and then I tried to get my second cut in, and it just would not go through. So I ended up grabbing the jigsaw to finish out the rest of that, and then I had to use the jigsaw a bunch, because one of these boards is it's being cut into a circular charcuterie board, and so I had explicitly gotten the Festool battery-powered Carvex jigsaw, because I knew that it would be something that I would use in this exact scenario where the track saw could not cut, because that thing, like, it keeps a straight blade, and I was using a blade that was like, it's 145 millimeters in length on a jigsaw. So, like, let's see, let's convert that. So 145,
That'd be over 7
so
inches.
14 and a half centimeters. So yay long. So that's a long jigsaw bit to go through and cut.
It's about average.
You measure from the base pad of the Carvex, so like I was cutting through 8/4 and sometimes 9/4 thickness pieces with that jigsaw in a single pass. So I just marked the line and I followed the line and called it good. So that worked out well for that. And then they have a circle jig that comes with it comes with a kit for the Carvex that it's an add-on kit with different base pads or whatever that you can swap out with the Carvex. And I need to look at a couple more tutorials on that one, because I tried cutting a circle with that and I struggled. So I just ended up drawing the circle and then cutting to the line, and it worked just fine doing that. So, because they've got a lot of different blade options, and I had bought a variety of blades that I can draw upon to do whatever I need, and you get like dead 90 degrees and a pretty darn good surface finish, just freehanding that and following a line. So I'll come back through and sand those edges with that like edge sander guide that I have, because I knew that I could use that to come through. But anyway, the track saw getting caught in the board was the other thing that I had to fix in that story. So it's not fun trying to pull that out of a 2.5 inch board. You got to muscle it out sometimes, and it's a pain in the butt. So
yeah, and you're like, you can catastrophize and be like, I'm never getting this saw blade out, and you're just staring at it.
Exactly, because it was just like, oh my god. Because I could probably, if I really needed to, I could probably unscrew and like literally take the saw off of the blade and then try and get the blade off. But yeah, getting that blade out of there is just a huge pain in the butt once you actually do get it stuck. And the nice thing about the festival track saw, because I have the TS75 for deep cuts in this scenario, is that it's got the riving knife built in, which is very nice. I think a lot of track saws are getting those added to them if they have not already. It doesn't have the like anti-kickback feature that I think the TS60 or something like that has some of those extra safety features, but the riving knife alone helps out significantly. Not always in this scenario does it prevent from that thicker wood that moves from pinching the blade, but it definitely helps out. At least enough that I can actually remove the blade when it does actually get stuck. So, yeah.
What about you, Jay? Have you anything breaking in your shop?
Just my morale.
Yeah.
Your soul.
Yeah. No, I just what have I broken? Oh, I've been doing like practicing a lot of like hand cut joinery, and like I you know how when you're doing something and you realize you don't have the tool for what you're trying to do, and like that's what I meant by like breaking my morale. It's like, oh, I got to stop because I couldn't finish what I wanted to do. But honestly, just look at it, like learn from everything, and
see, that's when you get excited because then you get to buy a tool.
Dude, that's the best feeling in the world when you click order and then you're waiting for it. That's the best.
No, the waiting is not the best part. The best part is when it shows up and you forgot you ordered it.
And then you tell your wife, "Oh, I ordered this months ago. It's backlog."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that excuse doesn't work quite as well anymore. It worked very, very well while we had the COVID years, but it doesn't work quite as well now.
It doesn't work for me at all because we have a shared Amazon and she listens to this podcast, so she'll know I'm talking about something. Hi, honey.
That just means you need to buy stuff from other vendors like Beaver Industrial Supply and Tools Today and all those places.
Well, tool purchasing may be on a hold for a little bit because the news this week, if a lot of people haven't heard, the U.S. ended its, I don't know the word officially, but it's basically the rule that said anything of $800 or under that was being imported didn't have to pay a tariff tax, and we ended that extension, and so now it's $200 and under. So all like the small tool manufacturers and everything, just all those prices are going to fly out. Be very interesting to see even like how Harbor Freight starts surviving some of this. So your wallets will start breaking soon.
Dude, that's huge. That's a lot of businesses, like small businesses that depend on sending small things. And even
what was his name? Bjorn at Two Makers Crew. He had a couple of stories where he was talking about that because he's in Canada, and that like he basically had to shut off sales to the U.S. because like it just wouldn't make sense.
Well, I order like big mass orders of cribbage board pieces because from China because I can order 1,000 at a time, and usually my order is like $250. So I'm not going to be able to order those from there anymore. So I'm going to have to find a new manufacturer, or I'll have to look at what that price is. But originally, what it looked like, it sounded like with the tariff added on top of it, it's going to be adding $50-$60, which we'll have to see what that comes down, but I'll have to pass that along, which sucks. So
yeah.
So besides your morale, anything else you broke?
No, nothing really. There's always hope for this week. I'm sure I'll break something, but this was a good week here.
Well, good. Yeah, for me, not much broken in the shop. My CNC has just been running constantly with the Yahtzee boxes, and I really haven't done anything else. I will say my immune system kind of took a hit or broke this week. I had some sniffles midweek. My wife, unfortunately, right now is she sounds like death has walked over, and she's been under the weather the last 72 hours. So we're getting our first cold of the season, which is exciting. Yay! But luckily, I missed the most of it. It was just midweek sniffles for me. But yeah. So that was it for that. So, making what we've been watching this week and makers we want to shout out. So first, I'm going to shout out.
No. How dare you? I had it on my list first. You were not going to do it again. You were not going to steal another one of mine.
What? I would never.
Yes, you would. First the name, now this.
Okay. Yeah, no, I saw that on your list, and I just had to make a comment.
So you knew.
Right. No, I actually added it to my list, and Jay can be my witness. As we were going over the layout of the show, I was like, "Oh, we have the same one." Anyways, okay, so I'll let you talk about that. I don't know how to pronounce this. I apologize, people. I can't pronounce things, but I'm going to say Taku Woodcraft, Taku. Did on Instagram this amazing box, and Jay, you might find this really interesting. It is a little wooden box, walnut on the outside, maple on the inside. But what's cool about it is they have a hidden twist mechanism that the box, like, it looks closed, and then you push it in the middle, and the box twists the middle section, which is made from maple, open, and has two little hidden compartments in it. It's so cool looking. I was really impressed with that. Next, I'm going to highlight Pete from Pete Trees or PT's I'm sorry, my voice. Pete from Pete Trees Wood Shop. So he is in his holiday production, just like myself. And his big thing is every time this time of year this is the only time he makes cutting boards. And so he had made 48 cutting boards this year from all the scraps he's been saving all year round.
One for each of the contiguous states.
Sure. Hopefully that, he has a sale from each one of those states. I don't know. But yeah, so that was cool to see. He had a just big pile of glue up and stuff. So good to see him doing some actual woodworking for once. Grayson Grains Woodworks over on YouTube. Want to shout out this new guy. He just started his YouTube channel 3 months ago, and 10 days ago, he released a video called Starting a Woodworking Business in My Garage and Content Creation Day 1. And it's a brand new channel. He's going to be basically documenting the whole process of running a woodworking business out of your garage and doing content creation throughout of it. He, at the time of recording that video, he only had 200 subscribers. He has about 800 now, so very small account, not monetized or anything yet. But I wish him the best of luck. It's a lot. He's already done 9 videos in the last 3 months, and they're all woodworking tool review and maker business related videos. So good luck to you, bud. And then Hinkle Shop, Vernon over at Hinkle Shop released a video of a incredibly gorgeous CNC carved stool. So it's a stool that is a Purple Heart top stool with with maple legs. The legs are also 3D carved on the CNC. So he did multi 3D carves on multi levels with also both sides. So it was a masterclass of doing 3D carving on a CNC. The video is a complete process build. It is no voiceover, so you're literally just watching him build it. And I was really impressed, and it looks gorgeous at the end. So if you're interested in seeing what a 3D furniture or carved furniture will look like on a CNC, go check out Hinkle Shop over on YouTube. And yeah, hi Vernon. Anyways, that was what I was watching this week. Jay, what have you been watching?
Yeah, so I think I saw that video you were talking about the little box. I just watched it like 15 minutes before we started this podcast.
That's great.
Yeah, that guy,
isn't it so cool?
His filming is amazing. Like masterclass in like camera angles. I think the biggest one I watched was Jeff O'Connor from O'Connor Woodworks out of Virginia. He's a retired Navy chief, and he changed like the whole way I did hand cut dovetails, because I was standing while I was doing them, and like I saw one of his videos where he was sitting down and using clamps, and that just like blew my mind. So I took that. And then also Nick from, let me make sure I get his name right, 309 Whiskey Wood Shop. He's been crushing all of the boxes lately, and a lot of inspiration and just really cool techniques. And then I got to give a shout out to, of course, Purple Heart Project that helps combat veterans use woodworking to heal. They're going to be at the Texas Woodworking Festival that I know you're going to talk about soon.
Is Rob Cosman coming down?
No, it'll be like 4 guys from Texas, and I think like there's 3 of us that went through the program. But so it'll be a good time. I'll be making some content there with those guys.
So were you a recipient or a builder for it?
I was a scholarship guy who went to. I went to the class in June.
Okay.
Yep.
How was that? Was that
unbelievable? Like the Purple Heart Project runs it. They sponsor 7 slots per class for Rob Cosman's Training the Hand workshop. So it was like 7 civilians, 7 of us military guys from Vietnam to today, and it was just world class. Like the Cosman family and the whole team from PHP, they just roll out the red carpet, and it's cool because like you stay there the whole time, and like you literally sleep 100 feet from the shop, and just the instruction and the camaraderie and the food. I just highly recommend anyone to support or to go through the program. It was phenomenal.
That's awesome. And it's a great program. I love whenever I see any posts about it, because it's always very heartwarming, but it's also just a great program to do a functional skill and to help people who have had trauma from being in service and doing what they do to protect our country. So
definitely. It was cool. Like day 1, everyone like had their phones, and then by like day 2, it's just everyone's in the shop at 7 a.m. and you don't see your phone again until Saturday. It was cool.
That's awesome.
World class experience.
Awesome.
So that's pretty much all I've been checking out this week.
Cool. Alex?
Okay, first one that I've got on my list, so the account is Woodcrafts, and they actually pulled this video and reposted it from Woodworld Making Art 101 on Instagram, or not Instagram, TikTok. So it was, it's like one of those like rendering videos where it's like, you can kind of tell that it's not real, but it's like kind of close. And they had all of these different wooden latch mechanisms that it cycled through, and it went through maybe like 4 or 5 different ones that were fairly basic and either had some type of like gravity component or other simple mechanism aspect of it, where it was pretty easy to make a latch of some kind out of wood. So some of them were a little bit more extravagant. Like there was one where it like had like a little wheel thing like roll down into a slot or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely like a generated video of something. But it was still cool because it gets your eyes or your brain thinking about, oh yeah, I could make a couple of simple latch mechanisms instead of having to, buy some hardware.
So you were watching a bunch of AI slop, is what you're saying?
I didn't realize it at first, but I
That's even scarier.
Well, I looked at it and I was like, this seems a little bit too polished. Because sometimes you just kind of tell. Just
the uncanny valley of it, yeah.
Yeah. Next one that I had, John at TX Yankee Carpentry. So he made a humidor out of an ammo can, And so this is one. It wasn't a post, but it was in his stories. So I don't know. It said like ammo can number 3. So I don't know if this is like a batch that he's making, or if this is like the 3rd time he's made it across, whatever time frame. So
Jay, you made it. It sounded like you knew who that was. Do you know about that?
Yeah, we're good friends. He comes over like once a week. Like he's really good. Like he's loud, and he's a great friend. And you will know he's in the room because he's fueled by White Monster and vape cartridges.
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Does he happen to also work in construction?
No, he's actually active duty. He's in the Army. He's
Gotcha.
So he's making a lot of those humidors for his like leaders who are going to other assignments, but they're beautiful.
You know what he should do? He should laser etch some whiskey glasses and bundle them with his humidors.
Yes.
Oh,
it's pretty crazy you said that, because he just got an ammo can that's about like 6 times the size that he's gonna make in his probably next week. So it's gonna be cool.
Oh, I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, and he also had, I think on some of his more recent posts that he had a couple of walnut, like, little coin racks that were pretty nice. So those look pretty cool. The next one that I have, so Albert at Albert A. Klein. So he has started doing this fun style where he has, like, whatever tool he is talking about, he's like slowly starts like crawling through it or crawling around it as he's like narrating the video, and I'm all about it. It's hilarious because like he did the first one that he did was like his bit recently has been that like, so he's got a Laguna bandsaw and he does not like it, and so he's always like, anytime he brings it up, he's like, this is the worst bandsaw ever, Harvey, please send me a bandsaw that is like to replace this thing. So he was like talking about it, and he was kind of like in that spot between the blade and the support on the other side where you've got like your resaw capacity, and he was climbing through it. And then the other one that he recently did, the one that you pulled up right there, where he's got his Harvey dust extractor, and he just like, he starts talking behind it, and then he slowly starts crawling over top of it as he is narrating and talking about it. And I just love it because he goes slow enough that it's like a controlled chaos, and it's just wonderful. So it's great. I love Albert. Albert's the best, and he also does a lot of great marquetry classes and things, and he's just an awesome dude.
I hope that bandsaw was unplugged when he put his head there.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Uh-huh.
And then, I don't think you knew about this one, Alex, but Brandy at Handy Dandy Brandy compiled a list of makers who will take custom commissions.
That sounds really familiar.
She's on batch mode for producing stuff instead of doing custom orders, so she's been taking essentially entries that she will have on her website as a list of options that people have that she can send people to if they want something custom. So
I did miss the first sign up for it, but I did send her an email that I wanted to get added to that list myself.
I would just like to say
that
I did the first sign up on her stories, and I filled out the information properly, so I did it right the first time.
You didn't get yelled at by Brandy?
No, I put it. It was tough because you were limited by however many characters are in the response window. So it cut mine a little bit short, so I kind of had to abbreviate some stuff. So it ended up working out better because the format that she had, it makes it a little bit better to get everything listed how you want. So anyway, that list is on her website. I can't remember what link it is, but she's got a reel where she talks about it, and then she clicks on her website and shows how to access that. So,
and if you are a maker and you do custom work and need or would like to get added to that list, go over to her Instagram page. It is a pinned post where she talks about the information that you need to send her and where to send it to. So head on over to Instagram at Handy Dandy Brandy.
Yes. But if you're in Nebraska, don't fill it out because that area is full. No more
Portland.
Nebraska. Yeah, not in the Portland area. And then the last one that I have, so this one actually came from, I believe her, because I just added this last minute. So Emily the Engineer, I believe, is her Instagram. So she had a sponsored post that SolidWorks actually came out with a version of their software for makers that's only like $50 a year or something like that, which because I did a lot of work and am very familiar with SolidWorks, so I like using that, but the like official license on that one is like $2,000 a year, and like there's like a lot of extra features in there that you don't end up using for whatever reason. So I think that puts them square back into competitive territory with like what's AutoCAD's Fusion's 360, I think, is I think they've got the maker version of that people can use. So I think that's a good option for depending on what people like for their 3D modeling software. So
and if you don't know who
SolidWorks.
If you don't know who Emily the Engineer is, where have you been? I love her videos on YouTube. They're some of the most entertaining engineering videos. And she's always building something fun. We mentioned this on an episode, one of our first episodes. We talked about where she built the benchy boat that she actually floated around on the lake with, and built a full size 3D print benchy. But she's done so many amazing things. I loved the tattoo 3D printer, which was great, where she tattooed somebody using a 3D printer.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
So yeah,
If
if you are interested in just building things and coming up with cool, fun ideas, check out her channel. It is really amazing.
Summarize it in one word.
All right. Well, this main topic this week is CNC, or otherwise known as Computer Numerical Control, which I did not know for the longest time. But CNC. So if you are new to this world, a CNC is a machine that you program using some type of CAD software to cut out stuff. So it can be, on a CNC machine, you can do wood, you can do concrete, you can do foam. It's just, the sky is the limit. To give you a brief history, CNC has been around since the 80s, I would say, when CAD programs and computers really started kicking off in the industrial world. And they started with 5 by 10 machines or larger. It was only about 10 years ago that the first 10 to 15 years ago, that the first hobbyist CNCs started hitting the market. And a hobby CNC is considered anywhere from a 1x1 up to a 4x4 machine. There are some 4x8 machines, but generally 4x8 and larger is considered industrial or business related, where a hobbyist is 4x4 and under. So just moving into it real quick, an overview of a CNC. A CNC has 6 main parts. Jay, do you know what those main parts are? Can you think of them?
There would be the gantry.
Rails and gantry, yep. And those are the parts of the machine that move back and forth. So a gantry goes over the CNC, and that's what holds your spindle or router. You've got then rails on the side, which move the gantry back and forth. What else?
Well, there's got to be a bed, the bed size.
Yep, bed or surface. So in our case with Jay and I, we're Next Wave machines. We have a bed, which is a machined aluminum bed that has T-track built into it. But there are other CNCs out there, say like Onefinity in the hobby space. They use just a surface. So their machine bolts down onto a table that you build. So you would make your own surface out of like MDF or plywood, and then your workpiece would go directly on that with the CNC floating above it. Next Wave also has a 4x4 machine in that same style as well. But Jay and I both have smaller machines, which are that gantry and bed surface with the T-track. So we have bed and surface, gantry and rails. That's 2. What else do we have? I already mentioned one of them, so it's a sneak peek. You didn't know this was going to be a test.
No, I'm completely shocked. I would have studied.
The next one is spindle and router. So I could kind of mention this a little bit. So the actual motor that does the cutting on the CNC, that is your spindle or router. So entry-level CNCs, you generally are using a palm router, like a Makita palm router or a Bosch router, or you go with a spindle, and spindles are either air or water cooled. I recommend, if you're going to get into CNC work, just bite the bullet and buy a spindle right off the bat. Do not go with router. I did a router for the first 2 years of my CNC journey, and I burned through about 8 routers in 2 years because I was running my CNC so much, and they burn out. Because they're not designed to be constantly running like a spindle is designed to do that. So, and they're loud as heck. Jay, you were just talking about that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, save your ears and your sanity. Just get into the spindle. But while I was thinking of it, there's also the controller. That's got to be a part, right?
That is the next part I was going to mention.
Before you go on to that, can I get a spindle for my router sled so that I don't annoy my neighbors quite as much?
It would be a lot quieter. Yeah, you could.
Now, do spindles, do they have a mounting plate on the bottom, or how do they typically come so that you can mount those? Or are they just like a clamp around the circular portion, the cylindrical portion of it?
Correct. Yeah, most of the time it's a clamp that clamps down and holds it on, so you're holding it with clamping force. Yeah, because you're using the rigidity of the gantry and the rail system to hold on to that clamp, versus your system might not work.
Yeah, mine has a base plate that you screw onto, so that might not work.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, neighbors, I tried.
You tried. But the controller is the next piece. That is the brain. So the controller is actually what controls the CNC, thus the name. It takes the G code, or the type of computer code that you get exported out of your software, and tells the CNC how to move and when to move, and what you've designed. And it basically takes your design from your software and makes it into a movable system on the CNC.
So if Alex Murphy from RoboCop was a CNC, he would be the controller. That would be the part of him that's left, right?
His brain, yep. That would be the part that was left.
Yeah. His brain and his lungs and like a hand.
Yeah, I think it was only one lung.
One lung and a hand. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Another one is your stepper motors. So this is what is connected to the gantry, and this is actually what, and the rails, and this is what actually moves this the CNC and takes the signals from the controller. So a stepper motor, unlike normal motors that you think about, like a small electrical motor on a machine, those, when you apply electrical force, they just spin the barrel and get the motor to move around and around. A stepper motor, in its name, is a step. So it actually, when you apply that electrical force, just moves one step at a time. It moves very quickly, which is why you get these what feel like smooth movements, or you can do curves and circles on a CNC and so on. But those steps, think about a watch, the hand on a watch, where you see that second hand going 1, 2, 3, and so on.
For us old people.
Yeah, for us oldies. That is a stepper motor, is what's in one of those watches. A very small one, but it is a stepper motor. And so that's what CNCs use to control and decide down to hundredths of a millimeter of accuracy.
Yeah, because those stepper motors, they actually know where they are in space, which is helpful when you need the motor to be in a particular area, whereas your spindle doesn't. It doesn't know where it is in space. It just knows that it's going around. That's all it knows.
Exactly. And there is one more main part, and Jay, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Can you think about it?
It's either like a dust
cow?
It's got to be like USB stick or dust collection, or
those are all close. Those are additions to the CNC. So the next part would be the pendant. So that's the actual interface. So it's the part you actually use to interface and tell the machine what to do or load in that G code or so on. So the controller is the brain. That is actually what tells the machine how to move. But you need to tell the brain what to do. And to do that, you use a pendant to input in that information via a USB drive, like you were saying, or Wi-Fi, or a direct connection to your computer. But the pendant is the middleman between your computer and the controller brain.
Great.
So that is the 6 main things of a CNC. As you mentioned, there are other things you can add to it, like dust collection. I will also say something that is not part of the CNC, but is used on every single thing, is a bit. So when we talk about bits, just like router bits, they are basically router bits that you're using on a CNC, but some are designed specifically for CNC work. So I know I personally recommend the Jenny line of bits. That's from Cadence Manufacturing. Jay, I've recommended them to you a bunch. I also recommend the IDC Woodcrafts brand of bits as well. They're another local U.S. company that does great job making bits. But if you are new to CNC, I would say there are only 3 bits that you need to know about, which are end mills, V bits, and bull bits. Jay, do you know what an end mill is?
Yeah, basically it's used for pocketing out portions of wood. It goes down into the wood, and then there's different types of end mills they can get that are either like upcut, downcut, or compression. But you're spot on. There's those 3 bits. I'm telling you, I've been down this road. Just get 3 bits. I know your buddy has that 3-bit starter pack, and you're gonna want to do all this advanced stuff. Don't just get those 3 and run them until they die, because that's all you need. You're spot on. Yep.
Alex, you had your hand raised.
I know what an end mill bit is.
Oh, good. Do you know what the three geometries he mentioned were and what their differences are?
I know that compression bits, they change the direction so that it depends on where the chips come out. Because you've got the upcut, it's pulling as it cuts, the flute that goes around, which is essentially, it looks like a drill bit, but is functionally different.
Right, and the flute is the actual cutting portion of the bit.
Yeah, it's the cutting face. So upcuts will pull, and it cuts upwards, and it'll pull the chips out that direction, which that will give you better ejection of those chips, but you're more likely to get tear out on the surface. Downcut is going to cut down into it, which has the opposite effect, which it's going to shove all of those chips down into the pocket where you're cutting, but you get much better surface. You don't really get tear out because you're cutting downwards into there. But compression bit is a combination of the two. So you have the top, which is downward cut, and then some distance down, it changes, and from the end to whatever that distance is, it's pulling an upcut. So it's trying to keep the surface area, the top tear out free while trying to better eject the chips. So you keep a nice surface on the bottom, on the inside of those corners. So
yeah, and that was a perfect definition. That was great.
You didn't expect that out of me, did you?
I didn't. I'm really surprised. You paid attention.
That was amazing.
No, I learned this on one of my ADHD learning deep dives a while ago when I was researching a lot of different bits. I have a bunch of bits.
So that's end mills. What about V bits? Crickets.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking either of you.
They look like a V.
Yeah. So V-bits, as you said, look like a V, and they come in different geometries. You've got 90-degree V-bits, 60-degree, 30-degree, 10-degree. It's just basically how much of that shape of the V, how
Wu-Tang
much
degree.
angle you want. And as Jay alluded to, so Cody has the 3 main bits that he recommends, and that's actually part of the CNC with Me bundle set, which is the downtown cut Jenny bit. So it's a down cut bit, the end mill, you've got a V60 bit, so a 60-degree bit, and then you have the bull bit, which is our next bit. Bull bits
How
are
many cutting surfaces are typically on those V bits? Is it just one, or do they throw in multiple occasionally?
So I believe the Cadence machine one is a three flute bit. I think.
I'll grab one.
Yeah, can you grab one? I don't have one up here. It's either
just
two
like
or
the
three.
Gillette commercials where you have like multiple blades that are cutting up against the surface of your face.
Yeah,
But it's
absolutely.
It's applied to the bit so that there's every time it goes around, now you have like 3 of them that are cutting as opposed to 1. That was a poor explanation on my part.
It's a 3 flute. The V60.
Yeah, it's a 3 flute.
Flute is a fancy word for cutting surface.
Exactly.
So like
Or
you
blade.
can go. I mean, essentially, if you crank up the RPM, you can move the bit faster through it because each of those flutes is cutting, and so you can go faster essentially.
Yeah,
right?
and in the CNC
that's
world, we call that
layman's terms for it. Like my engineering background, like there's a lot of going through what those end mill bits were doing for like machining metal surfaces and some calculations based on that, where you're talking about speeds and feeds.
Yep, exactly. I was about to say that in the CNC world, we call that speeds and feeds, where feeds are how much you're feeding the bit into the workpiece, so how much wood it's grabbing at any moment.
Around.
Yep, and then the speed is how fast you're moving it horizontally, or left and right. Yes.
Yeah.
I just said that backwards. You said it right. I said it backwards. Thank you. So that is, and then so I was saying bull bits. Bull bits are basically think of an end mill, but instead of being a straight down bit, a bull bit curves on either side, so it creates a nice bowl finish. So you would use it when you want a radiused corner down into whatever pocket you're creating or empty space that you're creating into your cut.
Just like the bowl haircut from the 90s, right?
Yep. Think about that. There are a couple other ones. Those are your 3 main, like you're going to get 99% of all CNC work done with those 3 bits. No kidding. But I will mention there are 2 other bits that I do recommend depending on what you're going to be doing. If you're going to be working with plastic of any kind or doing a lot of epoxy work, you're going to want to look at a O flute or 0 flute bit. And it's a little confusing because O flutes aren't actually 0 fluted. They have 1 flute that wraps around the whole bit, but they're meant to take the chips as they go through the wood. They eject the chips out to the side very, very quickly. Because if you're using them in acrylic or plastic, you don't want them sitting in there. Otherwise, they'll gum up and they'll start to melt, and then you'll damage your whole piece. So an O flute bit ejects that out really quickly. And then the other bit is a tapered ball nose bit. So if you're going to be doing 3D carving or really fine detail work, a tapered ball nose bit, which is a bit that is like a V bit. So it's that V shape, but at the bottom, instead of being a point, it's going to be a little rounded ball that gives you a nice smooth surface. Whenever you see 3D designs off of a CNC, usually it's with a ball nose bit. And then the next part of all the CNC world is what software you're using, because you need a software to run a CNC machine. I know I'm a Vectric guy myself. Jay, what do you use?
Vectric all the way.
Yeah,
That's
all of roads lead back
phenomenal.
to Vectric is like what I like to say. There are other brands out there. Carveco is another one you may know of, and there are plenty of other makers out there. I would say if you're doing whatever you're going to do, just pick one and start learning. Don't try and do all of them at the same time. Just pick one and go, but also pick one that you can design in easily. There are, it's called CAD or CAM softwares out there that you really can't design in. And, I'm never going to be sponsored by them, so I don't care. Lightburn has their own new CNC software that you supposedly can design in. I tried the free version. It is junk. Complete trash in my opinion, and it's definitely not for designing in. So that's why I like Vectric. I use Aspire, which is the top level. It allows you to do multiple 3D carving. There's also VCarve Pro and then VCarve Desktop. So that's an overview of CNC. Before I get into why I use a CNC, Jay, why did you get into CNC work?
Because I did everything by hand for like 3 years, like using acrylic templates to cut every shape known to man. And my buddy Brian reached out and he was like, "Hey man, you need a CNC," and it changed my whole production. Like from things that were taking 3 days to do, I was doing in like an hour and a half. And it was a phenomenal like game changer of just, there's nothing out there that you can't think of that you can't make on the CNC out of wood. Like you can do anything, you got to put the time in to like learn the programs. But what's great is, especially from Vectric, their customer support and the amount of like tutorials online is immense. So like you can follow along their videos, they're very sequential, and then plus I think just the network of other makers being able to reach out like text or email. I mean, even like Cody from Cadence Manufacturing, like the first week you can call him up on the phone. He'll spend 2 hours with you talking about his bits and the speeds and feeds. You know, you'll go crazy, and then you talk to Alex and he's like, "I just run it all same feed and speed," and like full send to everything.
I do.
It's hilarious.
Cody, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think I've mentioned it before, but I do not have a CNC for those who are not aware of that. So I have not dove into this space. And although I'm aware of some of the terminology and adjacent things that you learn from using a router and whatnot, I have not committed to a CNC just yet.
You're going to
pick it up. You will. You'll pick it up super fast. Like it's, especially if you have an engineering background, like you'll dive right in.
It's not something that it's a question of when for me, of just when I can spend the time and the resources on it. Because as of right now, I don't have that much of a need for it that I would be able to keep it occupied for the amount of money that would need to be put into it just yet. Yeah. So it's not a debate on if it's useful. It's just making sure that I can keep it running so it makes its own it supports itself essentially. So
definitely.
Yeah, and I've mentioned it on here before, and for those who have heard my story before, I apologize. But so I had started CNC work a few years into my woodworking realm because I was doing wood turning, and then I was starting to make a whole bunch of stuff, and then my wife goes, "Hey, you need to start selling some of your stuff so that we can cover the cost of all the wood that you're buying." And the machines and stuff. So she that was all she had said. So I was like, "Oh, I'll do this." And I had bought a cribbage board jig from Rockler, the one that you use with your drill press. And I had made I made a few of those and sold them, and then I kept selling them. And I ended up making about 100 cribbage boards using that jig. And it would take me like 3 hours to do one cribbage board because it's line it up, drill the hole, move it to the next one, line it up, drill a hole, move it to the next one. Like it was horrible.
And the time that you mentioned that on the podcast, I drilled mine with a hand drill with that jig.
Yeah, exactly. And
which is way worse.
Way worse and you're also going at angles and
the nice thing about the Rockler jig is that it's got the little like insert thing, so then it lines up. So it's palatable. It's okay if you only need to make like a few of these, but once you need to make more than like 5, it becomes a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and so I was searching online for ways that I'm like, how can I speed up my woodworking? And I came across an Andy Bird Builds video, like a lot of first-time CNCers. He's the OG of CNC on YouTube, and I've luckily been able to meet him since and tell him thank you for introducing. He's the reason why I bought a CNC and so on. But I had watched one of his videos about how he, made his first $500,000 using a CNC and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting there going, man, if I just did this one product and made 50 of them, I could pay for the CNC itself and then never, and do all this other stuff. So I bought a small 1x2 foot CNC from NextWave, and then eventually upgraded to the larger one when I started working with them and so on. But man, yeah, it is amazing, as you said, Jay, how quickly you can make anything on the CNC as long as you just put in that time to learn the software. And I highly recommend.
So when you were
guys,
looking at ways to speed up your woodworking, you didn't ever consider amphetamines?
No, because at that time we were foster parents, and they definitely, frown upon drugs in the foster system. So, yeah.
Huh. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Now, not so much. I can just, pop those all day long and just get my work done. That's why my YouTube videos come out every 2 weeks. I can just blow through them.
You still have your little CNC, Alex?
I don't. When I got the bigger machine, I sold it as a very big discount to another local woodworker who was just getting into the CNC space, and so it was more of a like, here it is for a quarter of the price that you would buy it, and it's still in perfect condition because these machines last forever. Yeah. And so, and as far as I understand, I think it's just sitting on his desk and he doesn't use it. So there's that. And he even took a bunch of classes around it, but he doesn't use it. And it's funny, I hear that from a lot of people where they buy a CNC and then it sits and they don't use it. And like, I was just, when I was in Vegas and I was at AWSF and I was talking to the NextWave guys, and they're like, yeah, we hear that all the time, where somebody will come a year later from the show, the year before they had bought a CNC, and we're like, yeah, it's still sitting on my counter to be assembled.
That's why I haven't pulled the triggers, because I don't like, it would be sitting just like that, because I know that I wouldn't be able to get to it quite yet. So I'm biding my time.
I see Jay's face, and you're where I am. I'm like, how dare you? Like, why would you?
Dude, I felt like those boxes took up so much space in the shop. I just wanted to assemble it, and like, I'll tell you, like, I really don't have a good mechanical background, like, at all. And I put this thing together in like 2 hours. And if like I can do it, like anyone can do it.
And you had like 4 screws left over, right?
I swear to God, if I went in my trash can right now, I'd pull out the last bag of screws I just threw out, and I don't know what they came to, and I think they go to my CNC. I'm serious. Hold on. I swear to God, I threw these away.
It does come with extra screws.
Dude, I swear to God, I just threw them away like 2 hours ago.
Oh, man.
You mentioned about how easy it was. That was actually why I bought NextWave. And I have to say, guys, I am sponsored by NextWave. But when I originally bought the machine, I wasn't. And the reason why I bought my first machine was I literally was able to pick it up out of, when you have the smaller ones, that 1x2, you pick it up out of the box, you put it on your counter, and you plug it in, and it's done. It's pre-assembled. Everything was perfect. Where there are so many other, like when I was first looking at a Shapeoko, when I was looking to buy a thing, I kept hearing horror stories from people who were like 4 days into their build and they found that they were missing a strip screw or something, like things like that. And I'm like, man, I do not want something that's that difficult. I just want to, the whole point of buying it is to make my life easier. So I don't want to have to learn how to assemble a robot to do my work for me. So yeah. And you had that same experience, Jay? You said it was very easy.
I did, and I would say even like the better part has been, I'm also sponsored by NextWave, but like the customer service, like I think I broke the touchpad wire like 2 weeks ago, and I texted them, and I had one overnighted in like a day and a half. I
mentioned this on the podcast a couple of days ago. I burnt out my cooling system for my spindle, and just messaged them, and I had one overnighted. Yeah,
they care about their products.
Absolutely, they do, and the people. But yeah, let's see. So besides that, what I always tell, like when I was just teaching this class, reason why I recommend buying a CNC are a few things. One, precision and consistency. So like my whole example with my cribbage boards, with that rockler thing, even with the rockler jig, you're still a little off, or there's tear out and it just doesn't look great. Plus it's really gapped, that specifically that jig, it has a lot of extra space in it. But a CNC, you literally, once you design that file, you just get the same product every single time, which is so nice. Especially if you're looking to do wholesale or mass production of a certain product. Like I do a ton of small things like coffee scoops and soap dishes and all these other things that I'll sell wholesale. And yeah, you can get the same product over and over again, which is super cool. And on top of that, then because of that, it's faster. I can batch out 50 coffee scoops at a time that it would take me to make one coffee scoop on the bandsaw, or and my labor cost then is drastically lower because I know that I can batch out these big. So precision, consistency, speed, labor.
How long does a bit last when you are cutting out a cribbage board? Because I know that like drilling all of those holes, that repeated action. I mean, bits are an expenditure. They only last so long before they either become dull or snap or what have you. Like what would you expect out of a bit? Like if you're, say you're making what's an average size cribbage board for you? Is it like
5x15?
5x15. How many cribbage boards do you think you can get out of one bit?
Well, okay, so my cribbage boards, I use 3 bits. I use the drill bit that does the bit for the holes. I use the V60 bit for the lines that I do in it to help track the lines, and then a 1/4-inch bit to cut out the board from at the end of the thing. So I do a 3-bit system. The real question, I guess, the question is, how long will it last, or how many cribbage boards can I get? Depends on the bit, because I'm using those bits for other things. The drill bit specifically, I buy from IDC Woodcraft. They make a specific bit called the Lightning CNC bit, which is designed for CNCs and designed for just that full send drill over and over and over again. Because a cribbage board is 192 holes, a full-size one. So if you think about just drilling over and over again that real quick, you're going to build up heat. And this bit specifically dissipates that a lot easier, and it ejects the chips out quickly. I haven't replaced that bit in over a year, and I've probably made 150 plus boards with it so far.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to last that long.
Yeah, no, that bit specific. That's why I recommend the IDC Woodcraft Lightning drill bit. It's an incredible bit, and actually Cody just came out with his Molly mills, which I am testing right now with my cribbage boards for this holiday season. So so far it's working even better than that. So it will be really exciting to see how long that one lasts.
Do you clean that pretty regularly, or?
And that was what I was going to say. You have to maintain those bits just like you would anything else. So if you been in the maker world, you've seen a ton of influencers like the Wood Whisperer and Jonathan Katzmoses and other people have been doing a lot of the ultrasonic cleaners. I actually picked one up from Shaper earlier this summer. It's the first time I've actually had something to auto clean. Before, I was just you would just soak your bit overnight in the cleaner and then just use like a brush to clean it.
Toothbrush.
Yeah, a toothbrush, or I was using a metal wire brush. But now I just drop it in the ultrasonic cleaner for an hour and it takes care of it. It's beautiful. And as long as you're getting off that gummed up, like from the tape or the epoxy or stuff like that, or sap, you get that off the bit, it's going to last a lot longer.
That is called pitch for those who are unfamiliar. So if you get a little bit of like black residue that is on the bit, that is called pitch, and if that builds up, what can happen is that can get either in the way from the cutting surface, or you don't eject chips or sawdust or whatever fast enough, and you build up heat faster, which is more likely to dull the bit and make it not last as long. Because, and this is from my engineering background, bits are designed to operate at a certain temperature, and if they are at a temperature that is higher, that metal may not be able to retain its edge quite as well to continue cutting. And so periodically cleaning keeps that bit operating at a slightly more optimal temperature so that it does not overheat and then either dull early or, you know, have any other types of failures. Because is snapping a bit more of a speed and feed issue, or is it more of a wear and tear issue?
My experience is it's generally a speed and feed issue.
Okay.
I rarely get to the point of a bit breaking because of its wear and tear. Generally, I'll go dull before I break a bit from wear and tear.
Gotcha.
But when I break a bit, it's usually my dumb face's fault.
Yeah,
So,
it's usually user error.
yeah,
Like,
which, you know, it's funny you had mentioned Cody. Like, that was how I met Cody, by the way, is I had broke 2 of his 1/8" bits back to back.
Yeah.
And I sent him a message going, hey, can I get a refund on these? They broke immediately. There must have been some kind of defect or whatever, because I was stupid and did not know. And this was when I was first getting into it. And he called me up and was like, hey, let's talk through your setup. And what it came down to was I was using an adapter in the collet. So I had a collet on my router that was for a 1/4" bit, and I was using his 1/8" bit. So I was using the adapter to adapt it down to an 1/8". The problem with those bits or those adapters in CNCs, they're not designed for the high speed and vibrations that CNCs create. And so what they'll do is they'll actually create a stress fracture in the bit, and it'll snap the bit. And so that's what I was doing, is I was snapping them over and over again from using that collet.
It's just ever so slightly off center.
Exactly. And so as soon as I moved to an 1/8" collet, never had a problem again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think IDC Woodcraft sells a lot of those, like specialized collets. Like they're nice.
Yeah, well, they sell the collets now. They originally that was actually where I got my original adapters from, and it wasn't great. But they've switched away from those and do the whole collets now. Like I have an ER20 collet on my spindle, and it can go up to 1/2 inch, and so. And then down to, well, technically I could go down to a 1/16 of an inch if I have all the pieces, but yeah.
Yeah, because basically what happens is for how much you are feeding in that bit, like how far it's traveling versus how fast it's spinning around. It's not spinning around fast enough to pull off that material, and so it's like if you were to take a drill bit and like start drilling and then move it sideways. Like sometimes you can get it to, you know, drill bits aren't made to take off material sideways, but you can kind of get a little bit sideways. But essentially, like if it's not turning at all, it's just pressing into the material that you're cutting. And then if you're using a really narrow bit, it's just going to snap and break off because it's moving faster than it can cut the material from the speed that it needs to cut. Because there's like, and again, this comes from the engineering background where it's like all of these diagrams and stuff about speeds and feeds and how you are basically you need to cut a chip out before it moves far enough to cut the next one out. Because you got to think about it's slowly moving forward enough to cut a piece of the wood out that you need. And so that's why it's better to get chips. Because if you're getting sawdust, that means it's, you know, moving too slow or it's too dull to cut it, and then you get heat buildup and other stuff that factors into it. Anyway, I could talk about that stuff for a very long time because I took a lot of time to study that and a long time ago, because there's you know, climb cuts versus you know, your other cuts and how that affects everything and your cut quality and all that fun stuff. So that's another discussion in and of itself.
Well, and I always recommend too the first 6 months. So I say on average, when you get a CNC, the first 6 months, everything you're going to make is trash. And you need to be testing. So don't go and buy expensive bits. As bad as it sounds, don't go buy Cody's bits for the first time, because you're going to break bits right off the bat. And his bits are on the expensive side because they are finishing high quality, long lasting bits. So buy some cheap ones from Amazon and do all your practice stuff on. Because I know I probably broke 20-30 bits when I first 6 months from either just running it wrong, forgetting to turn on the router because I was not using a spindle at that time, or not programming it right so that it would go from one cut, and instead of ejecting all the way out of the material, it would just move over to the next cut, and so it would hit a wall of material and just snap right off. Unlike Jay here, who is like the best student in the world and mastered his CNC in 2 months. He's shaking his head. No, I do swear, like when you started the CNC stuff, like you took hold of it and you ran with it. And I was talking with Brian after, like 3 months in, you were producing some stuff that took me a year and a half to make. So I was so impressed with how quickly you grabbed it and ran with it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But how many
grab
bits?
The bit while it's running. Don't do that.
Yeah, how many bits would you say you broke in that first 6 months?
I've definitely broke like 5 or 6. And
okay.
It's painful because it's just like money flying out of your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And you just are upset with yourself. But it's all part of the learning. And I think the people who get the most out of CNC are the ones who join like the community of do things like this, like listen to podcasts, watch YouTube, and don't be afraid to fire off an email asking for help to someone, because people don't suffer in silence in your own garage, I guess.
Yeah, and with that, if you ever have a question, you can feel free to message me on Instagram or info@duffywoodcraft.com. That comes directly to me as well, too. So if you have questions around CNC stuff, I'm always an open door. So I'll gladly put that out there.
So I can send an email to that asking where babies come from, right?
You can. I'll send you some links that are not safe for work.
I was just going to say that. Is this only for CNC?
Yes, only
baby
CNC.
Right?
Yes, baby CNCs, only CNCs, and only fans. But yeah.
One other question, since this is kind of like you're talking about introductory and beginning stuff. What do you recommend people do when they're scoping out that first CNC of like features and specs to look for? Because I know, as I look at tools and things, I look at what it is that I need to make, and then I pull in the specs of options that I have out there to figure out what matches up with what I need. So what would you guys say are some of the things, some of the specs to actually look at that matter the most when people are looking to buy that first CNC? Because obviously,
Jay, you want to take that first?
I mean, bed size is a big thing, and like spindles and whatnot. Of course, there's a bunch of other specs that probably don't matter quite as much. That could just be marketing fluff, depending on what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. I would say, like, for me personally, like, I would look at the average size of stuff that you make, or things that you like to make, or things that sell, and then maybe go like a third bigger. How much space do you have allocated in your shop to the CNC? Because, like, you got to think not just the machine, you got to think also the table that's going to support it. But I would also, if I was going to do it over, I want the biggest controller or pendant possible, because you're doing a lot of work on like this on the next
you're
wave.
talking screen size of it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like I would go big, like an 8-inch to 10-inch screen if possible, and then just look at what you want to build, and then get something that can handle. But I would reach out to the companies and like see what they recommend, because these guys know like things that are coming down the pike, what other makers have been successful with, and then just take their advice. Like, they're not going to steer you wrong, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
What do you think, Alex?
So I was trying to find the link because I know he's launching it and it might not be out yet. But Kyle over at learnyourcnc.com or Learn Your CNC Academy is coming out with a tool that basically allows you to type in, what size you're looking for, what your price range, what kind of features you're looking at, and it's going to basically recommend a CNC for you to get.
Wow.
I know it's coming down the pipeline. I don't see it on his site yet. I'm sure it's somewhere because I know Hamilton was just talking about it in his latest video this week too. But check that out if you're interested, or message me. But so that's going to be a good resource for people to find a CNC that fits them. Obviously, I mean, I'm a Next Wave guy. I say there's a Next Wave machine for everyone because they have a 1x1 machine all the way up to a 4x4 machine. They have a sized machine for what fits your space area. And as you were saying, like me, when I first bought, I was going to only do cribbage boards, and I bought the 1x2 because I was like, that's all I'm going to do. And then I very quickly realized that this was something I absolutely loved, and it became a hassle because it was too small. And so I needed a bigger machine to do the bigger projects I wanted to do. So I would always say, kind of like when you buy any new tool, don't buy for the tool that you think you need now, buy the tool you think you need tomorrow. Because you do want to future plan so that you're not having to rebuy, because a CNC is a expensive first time purchase. So go with that next size up. If you think you only need a 2x2, go with the 4x4, or something like that. Like, just make room for it, because I think you'll quickly learn how a CNC can be used for pretty much anything that you're doing today, and speed up. And if you are looking to specifically be a production shop and sell lots of products, the CNC is going to help you through that and help you blow through that very quickly. Or even just think, like, I know our friend over, Yahtzee over at Knock on Wood, when I was first pitching a CNC to her, and talking about that, I was like, hey, she's mainly does a lot of cabinetry stuff. I was like, are you cutting all those doors and cabinets and stuff out of the plywood by hand on the table saw now? And she's like, yeah. I was like, you could just set one file and put your sheet of plywood on the machine and have it cut it for you every time, the exact same size, the exact same way, over and over again. And she's like, really? And so, like, that's kind of how we started talking about CNC world. The pendant is the big one for you. I originally had the small screen. I upgraded to the 10x10 or the 10 by 1 inch Android run pendant. Changed my world. I absolutely freaking love that thing. And then a spindle. Buy once, cry once, as we all say. Buy that spindle, go spend the money for it, because you're going to save lots of money down the line with either burning out routers. You're going to save your ears, because routers are loud. Spindles are loud too, but they're nowhere near as bad as that.
Is there a certain horsepower spindle? Like, are you looking for a certain horsepower or a certain RPM limiter or something like that, or any particular specs on those spindles? Because I haven't really researched that to know what the range is and what works for what application.
The low end is a 1 horsepower. I've seen some Chinese knockoff machines that go down to 1/2 inch. Honestly, I would never buy a spindle that's less than 2 horsepower, even for a hobbyist machine, because it less than a 2 horsepower, like on a dense wood like walnut or hard maple or something, I think you're going to start running into it burn it or not being able to keep up with some of the torque or how far you want to go down. I personally run the 3 horsepower from Next Wave, and like I said, it can go up to 1/2 inch bits, and that was an upgrade from my 2 horsepower that I had from them as well, because I wanted to do the larger bits.
You're for the
shank size.
For the beginners, it's the shank size. It's not necessarily something that cuts a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch shank, and they can have various sizes that it can step up or down to. Because a lot of my slab flattening bits that I get are 1/2 inch shanks, and I get because I think I had mentioned earlier that I had like a 3.5 inch slab flattening bit that I use, so it obviously steps up a lot. Yeah, so the funny thing is, there is so the metal plate that the router mounts onto, like when I raise up the bit, there is maybe it's probably like a 32nd inch gap between the edge of the bit and the aluminum plate. So there's no clearance on there when I'm at the highest setting on the bit itself. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, I did kind of similar stuff to what you guys had mentioned before about using cheap bits early on, because there's like some slab flattening bits that are like $20 that I would use just to get an idea for how stuff worked, and then I found out, I tested different bits and found other ones that I use for different applications and what works better for end grain versus long grain and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's because most it's 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch and is there 1/8 inch? A lot of
1/8 inch,
small
16th
ones
inch.
that are. But do people? You probably get into some specialty stuff if people are going down to 16th inch.
Yeah, you're getting into generally at 16th inch, you're getting down into either some really macro 3D carving or you're doing some metal works like some aluminum or brass, and you're doing some really fine details on that. Like if you want to do a stamp, a brand, sorry, a specialized carved brand, you'll be using those really small bits.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you need high detail. Oh, here's another good question. Dust collection for your CNC. What do you guys have set up for that as of right now?
Okay.
I just use that hose. I just connect it to. I think I bought a 3D printed dust boot that attaches to the router body, and then I just attach the. I changed all my dust collection to that magnetic system on everything.
Yeah, you've got the
Lightning
Rockler dust
lock
right
from
back there,
Carbon
right?
Method?
I'm not sure where I
There's a
got
couple
it from,
different magnetic ones.
but there's like the female and the male portion, and I used to use the Rockler dust right with that handle, and it's just becomes a pain in the butt to take that thing off. So the magnets has just like been great.
Because you can run your CNC without dust collection. It's just a huge mess as you're doing it, right?
Yeah, it would make your shop disgusting.
It would, and it's damaging for your bits and your spindle or router because it's going to gunk up along with your rails and gantry. So it's
'cause if you're
not
pulling those
recommended
chips
whatsoever.
away from it, heat can stay in there because all of those chips stay like around in the area, and that air can't dissipate, and the heat has nowhere to go. It just stays.
Yep. Yeah, I use a wall-mounted ShopFox dust collector right next to the CNC, and then a hose to the newest Pro dust boot from Next Wave that they sent me out to go with the spindle. And yeah, so I've always had a dedicated dust collector just for the CNC, which I recommend. Even if unless you have a big dust system that you're just running constantly anyway, I do recommend having a separate machine just for the dust collector or for the CNC.
I'm gonna get that Harvey one so I can crawl over it real slow.
In Vegas, they demoed a new one that is, they're calling it the baby gyro, and it's like the size of a suitcase. But I think it's going to be like perfect for CNC machines.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yeah, they haven't announced it on the website yet. They were demoing it and just getting customer feedback at the show first. But look it on Instagram. You'll see it on their Instagram page.
Yeah, I think did you take like a picture with it or something?
Yeah, I did a video.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, ooh, that looks amazing.
Yeah, I really want that. That's going to be that's on the list of upgrades eventually. Once it comes out. I also don't know what the price is going to be yet. So there's that too.
Yeah, and it's not going to be made in America. Is it made in America?
Harvey is, I think, a combination of Japan and America, depending on where it's which product.
Oh, they have Japan in their manufacturing?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Chinese.
Maybe it's Chinese. I thought it was Japanese, but maybe not.
Maybe
that's just their headquarters is in Japan. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
Because we were in Vegas at the Harvey party, and I was checking with a couple of their guys about places in Tokyo to go to. So,
gotcha.
Nice.
Anything else about CNCs before we wrap up our main section?
Do it.
Do it.
Just get one.
We want to CNC on your table next. by the next podcast, Alex.
That's not going to happen.
All right. Well, moving on.
Good news, everyone.
So, talking about upcoming events, Texas Woodworking Festival is 14 days away. So just a couple of weeks away. I will be there. Jay is going to be there. So if you haven't met him yet, and you're going to be working with Purple Heart, right?
Yeah, I'll be with the Purple Heart Project. I think there's about 4 or 5 of us who will be manning the table trying to get people to apply to the program and see what hand tool woodworking is all about.
Nice.
But I'm looking forward to meeting. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Hopefully, we can grab some food or hang out, do something. But it would be great.
We were talking. We need to grab some barbecue for sure. I'm looking forward to it. And if you are listening to the show and want to come along, come along. Alex, do you have any news or events?
Just want to make just a PSA, especially as we are rolling into winter. Animals and vermin will like to be in your shop. So this past week, when I opened up my garage door to go into the garage, I pull it up from the bottom, and the little seal on the bottom, when I was pulling it up, I was like, that feels funny. So I kind of poked around there, and I was like, I think there's something in there. And so I recorded what was going on, and a garter snake was in the seal of my garage door, and I used the snake that you would use for clearing plumbing stuff, and so I put that in one end, and I pushed out a snake in the other. And I have this on my Instagram as a reel, if you want to go see the entire story unfold of what actually happened. So I got him out of there, but he's still roaming around in my garage somewhere because I did not catch him in the bucket when I was getting him out of the garage door, because the garage door was open and I had a bucket and I was trying to get him in there. You can see all of this in the reel.
He's probably back in that seal.
No, I actually duct taped off the ends so that they are covered. Because
duct tape, America's fixer.
Exactly. Fixes everything. Because I didn't want to crush him in there, because what would happen is he'd die in there, and then it would smell like crap, and I don't know if I'd be able to get everything out. And I see some crickets and bugs in here occasionally, so it's he's probably in here eating some of those, so he's probably earning his keep a little bit, but I'd like to get him somewhere else where he is fully appreciated for those skills. So yeah, try and avoid vermin getting into your shop. Bugs flying in my face as I'm doing
as
this.
he swats a bug.
Yeah, if you've seen in any of the previous ones, flies and other things, I'm actually staring at a crane fly that's buzzing by the garage door as of right now. So yeah,
this is why I'm upstairs in my office, away from the bugs.
Yeah, and
I just
also
have a
currently
cat
it's
that meows
raining
loudly
for a couple of days, so I'm probably getting bugs that are seeking shelter in here as well. So yeah.
Anyways, well, thank you guys so much for listening this week. Jay, thank you so much for being on the show.
I had a blast. Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you?
I'm just on Instagram, the Goat Haunt Woodworks, and just sit in my shop and hang out and upload boring stories. Come see some subpar woodwork.
And boxes.
And lots of beautiful boxes. Big, beautiful boxes. Yeah. The BBB.
Sweet. We'll have to coordinate at the Texas show. Look forward to seeing you there.
Yep, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember,
in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.